Ja, hallo allerseits. Wir sind wieder hier bei einem wöchentlichen Podcast, heute mit einem sehr speziellen Gast. Deswegen werden wir das heutige Podcast in Englisch halten. Und ich denke, Marcel und ich, wir sind uns beide einig, dass wir uns erstens sehr darauf freuen und zweitens euch leider nicht den Gefallen tun werden, die ganze Unterhaltung zu untertiteln. Ich habe darüber nachgedacht, aber ich glaube, die Arbeit werde ich mir da nicht antun. Also ich hoffe, ihr könnt uns dennoch folgen. Wir freuen uns sehr drauf, heute mit Jason zu sprechen über alle möglichen Themen. Ich lasse mich jetzt auch mal ein bisschen überraschen. Und ja, viel Spaß.
Ja, auch ein Hallo von mir an euch. Wir haben heute einen wirklich speziellen Gast, Jason, wohnt schon seit einigen Jahren in Deutschland, ist ein guter Freund von mir. Ich habe ihn auch schon mal in einem Video von mir interviewt. Und heute möchten wir über ein paar Retro-Gaming-Themen sprechen. Und deswegen würde ich sagen, dass wir jetzt auch auf Englisch switchen. And say hello to Jason. Very nice to have you here, Jason.
Hey, hello everyone. I appreciate you guys accommodating me by speaking in English. I do speak a little German, but if you don't want to hear me say was, langsam bitte, we'll probably have to do it in English. And it's nice to meet you, Marcel.
Of course, it's nice to meet you. And I was also a little bit distracted by your background because I was thinking, is that a blue screen with a Lara Croft image in the back, or is it?
Actually, Marcel and I were talking about that a few minutes ago.
Oh,
I do have a green screen behind me, but I'm not using it. I'm using the Zoom background. For whatever reason, if I have the green screen behind me and I use the Zoom background at the same time, the picture is more stable and larger. It just it works better for whatever reason.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Are you a great Tomb Raider fan, or?
Yeah, if I was going to list my top series of all time, Tomb Raider is definitely among them. That really hooked me on the PS1 back in, I don't know, 95, 96, something like that. Just an outstanding game for the time. And then it's endured over the years.
Yeah, I really loved the first Tomb Raider game, but I didn't follow the series after that much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about the very good or very great video game series of all time and what we are playing since in these days. I can remember I played the first 3 parts of Tomb Raider, and I played them through. But after that, it was not I was not interested anymore in this game. Don't know why.
Yeah, and I would say Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider 2 were really good.
Yes.
And then I struggled with Tomb Raider 3 and 4 myself. But I forgot what it was, Tomb Raider Underworld or something like that. I played it on the Xbox, Xbox 360.
I believe so.
That was really a good game, and that got me back into the series. And then there's been a few more good games since then.
I remember that I struggled quite a lot with some of the puzzles in the first Tomb Raider, and probably that was the reason why I couldn't figure out how to continue from a certain point on, and so I think I gave up there. It was a little bit too tough, and the controls especially in the first Tomb Raider game, because basically the way Lara moved back then was in squares. The movement was horrible if you're playing it nowadays. Back then it was okay, but nowadays, going back to that game, it's really hard to control.
Yeah. To me, it was all the jumps you had to make.
Especially
I don't know how many times I've killed this poor woman behind me, but she has died a million horrible deaths at my hands. Once you could save it, once you could save at a point, any point that you wanted, because in the first Tomb Raider, you died, that's it, you start over. Start the level over, not the complete game.
But Jason, I think the Tomb Raider series is not the most favorite series for you of all time.
No. That's really a difficult decision. That's really a difficult decision, but obviously, not obviously to the viewers, but obviously to Marcel, who knows me well, I played more Elder Scrolls than anything. But 90% of that has been Skyrim. And then I played Oblivion as well, but I was fortunate enough that just as I finished my run through Oblivion, Skyrim came out, and it was hard to go back to Oblivion after I played Skyrim.
I can understand. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just about to ask what your favorite game was, but please, if you have a comment, please proceed.
Since you're talking about Skyrim, I think it's from Bethesda, so the same company that makes Fallout, and I'm a huge fan of the Fallout series.
Yeah,
because of the setting, because of the like humor and all that stuff. I'm not really feel attracted by the medieval setting of the Skyrim and Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls series. That's not my kind of thing. But the Fallout series was really, really addictive.
Yeah, and I played it too, or I played Fallout 3 for a long while. But my other mistress, Skyrim,
Mistress
took it over. But yeah, what great games Bethesda makes. So is that your favorite series, Marcel? The
Fallout is pretty close to the top, but maybe not quite there, because it may sound a little contradictory when I said I don't like those medieval settings, and then say that Zelda is actually
that's a
my
different
favorite.
Yeah,
it's more like fantasy style, more like Lord of the Rings fantasy with elves and stuff. So I've got to say, because I don't know, I got my first Super Nintendo with Super Mario World and Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past back in the day, and it was just, I spent 3 weeks of holiday season just with those two games, and it's a very precious childhood memory for me. And from that point on, I pretty much love all the Zelda games: Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, all great games. It's hard to keep up with that for any other series out there.
Yeah, and I concur. I mean, you just can't beat Zelda. It's kept up with the times. It's even the last one on the place, on the Nintendo Switch.
On the place.
Yeah. Anathema. Sacrilege.
Are you talking about Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah, Breath of the Wild. I didn't play it all the way through, but I loved it.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild I played 2 times through, one in normal and one in master. it was outstanding. Really, really outstanding. I think I took over 150 hours in it. Really, really, it's one of my most favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. But when I think the best series of all time, wow, man. I was in the 90s. I was a Sega kid. I don't have a Super Nintendo. I have the Mega Drive, and so I was not able to play Zelda. I played it because I borrowed a Super Nintendo from a friend. For me, the best series. I think we must talk about Final Fantasy because it's so old and so big. Part 7 really took me hard, really, but the other parts, I was not very keen on the other parts. Part 8 is, I don't like part 8. Part 9 was good. Part 10, okay, but then I stopped it.
What about
part 6?
What was it about Final Fantasy VII that hooked you harder than the others?
It was so new what you can do in this game. It's so big. The story is so incredible. The graphics in these times was amazing. Not today, but in these times.
Yeah.
I took 60 hours minimum in it, and I played it 2 times through. And when I was over with the game, I was sitting there and I think to myself, what happened? What the hell happened? Yeah. It was really, really good. And we have
don't spoil the end, please. Don't spoil it. I haven't.
No. I will not spoil it. Okay. We have the remake now on the PS4. It's really great, but I don't know why I stopped it. I think about 70% I played, and I stopped it. I don't know why.
Well, there's so much now to take your attention.
Yeah.
There's so many good games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Today we have so many really good games. You don't know what game you start the first. But for me, I must think about the Xeno series. I don't know if you know the Xeno series.
I know it from you, Xenoblades.
Yeah. Starting with Xenogears, Xenoblade Chronicles, and the whole thing. That for me, it's the best series of all time. But that's my personal opinion. The most time I spent in World of Warcraft, and that was really over 10 years I spent in this game.
Yeah.
And in these times, in this time, I played nothing, only World of Warcraft.
Those MMORPGs, when they first came out, they were very addictive. I knew people whose whole lives were taken over by those games. Did you ever play the MMORPGs like World of Warcraft and EverQuest? EverQuest was one I played for a couple of years. Did you ever play those, Marcel? I'd like to say Marcel with the blue shirt, but
yeah.
Are you out of Cologne? Is that right? What city are you living in?
Oh, currently it's up there around Hamburg.
Hamburg. So I'll say Marcel from Hamburg.
You can do that. No, I've never ever played those kind of games because I'm not an online gamer. I never understood the principle of online gaming. So I know many people love it, but for me, gaming oftentimes just was having time for myself, sitting in my room, and it's just me and the game and nothing else. You know what I mean? So
I do. That's why I went away from those.
Yeah. So I never really liked the interaction or talking to somebody who's actually living there. I wanted my stupid game that that works in its own mechanics that I do know and does nothing unexpected, and that was the way I loved it. And my brother, actually both of my brothers, they grew into online gaming, and I love it. And especially my brother Tobias, he is very great at Fortnite, but it didn't hook me up at any point now.
Yeah, I completely understand. What got you away from World of Warcraft, Marcel?
Excuse me,
what? What made you decide to quit playing World of Warcraft, Marcel and Weibungen?
Beard man.
The beard
Marcel?
yeah.
But you got a goatee, a little bit of a soul patch.
Yes. That's a good question. I think the problem with World of Warcraft is that it's always the same. It's always the same. There are about many add-ons coming out, new story, new characters and stuff like that, new weapons. But it's always the same with grinding, getting better, and so on.
Right.
And it was 2015-16, I think, with the add-on of Legion, when I was sitting there and thinking, I'm not really, was heißt kein Bock haben? Marcel.
One more time.
Keine Lust mehr
He
haben.
just lost the interest. He didn't have any fun with it anymore.
Yeah, I don't have fun with that anymore. I was sitting there and then, oh no, I'm not motivated to play that game now.
Yeah, and I think the most direct translation would be I lost my taste for it.
I lost my taste for it. That sounds pretty good. Yeah. And at that time, I moved together with my girlfriend, now my wife. And I think that's a point too, because you cannot sit 5, 4, or 6 hours when you are done with work, and your girlfriend sitting there and have nothing to do. You know what I mean? That was the point too.
Yeah, life intrudes in your fantasy life. So let me ask, do either of you play any sports games?
FIFA.
Really?
Yeah. I play FIFA, but not online. And all my colleagues make fun of me because I'm not playing online.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. I just want to play a game against the CPU, and I have much fun of that. And after that, it's okay. I don't have to form my ultimate team, spending time to get a better team and going online and mess with other guys. I don't need that.
And I completely agree. That kind of turns me off too.
Yeah.
How about you, Marcel, from the north?
I just had to laugh because sports games are usually the ones that you get for like $1 at the gaming store because nobody wants to have them anymore.
Only when they're old.
Yeah, especially then. But actually, the ones that keep up best are the Nintendo sports games. to be honest. They're so far away from being a real simulation, but if you play Mario Tennis, it's not a very realistic game, but it's still fun after many years.
Yeah,
because
that's
it
the
uses
point.
so very fundamental
Mario
principles.
in the name, and that makes the point. Mario in the name.
Not really. Yeah, for the price maybe, but
Yeah.
for the fun with the game, Nintendo always uses some very fundamental principles of making games, and they continue to work even after years. So, but apart from that, I don't play any sports games. The first title I had to think about was California Games.
Oh, that was great!
Ancient.
Great
game,
California Games.
I played that game on the Commodore 64, and I've got to say, I once read an article about it, and the writer said no other game has ever killed so many joysticks as California Games.
Yeah, you know California Game, Jay?
No, and this is funny because in the 80s when I had a Commodore 64, I lived in California, and I have no idea what you're talking about. Wow. So what kind of game was it? Was it just like a bunch of mini games, or?
Yeah.
Surfing, skating, skating with the skateboard, and with what's called the thing on your shoes? Rollerblade, yes. Surfing, skating, rollerblade, BMX, bike. What it is called with this small ball? With the small ball, you have to keep it in the air with your
hacky sack.
Maybe
a little leather bag with beans with bone inside. Yeah, hacky sack,
and you have to keep it in the air with your whole body, with the feet, with the arm, with the
no
head.
hands.
Yeah,
right.
That was pretty fun. That was really pretty fun. And
Marcel from the north must be younger. He looks like, what is this hacky sack?
I cannot remember that this was part of California Games.
I'm talking about California Games for the Mega Drive. I don't know if it's different from the Commodore 64.
Okay.
But it was amazing on the Mega Drive.
Okay.
So
the Commodore 64 version was basically all those athletic styles that you would also see at the Olympic Games. And the problem was that, for example, if you're, I don't know the English term, high jump, if you jump over, if you're using a stick and jump over.
Pole vault. Pole, P-O-L-E, vault.
Oh, yeah, right. And the thing was to accelerate in that game, you had to grab the joystick and to turn it left, right, extremely fast. And there were micro switches in it, and they would break. They would definitely break at some point. That was so horrible.
Are you sure you're talking about California Games and not Olympic Games?
No, it was actually California Games, I believe. But okay, it's been a while, so probably I mixed up something. I'm not absolutely sure, but it was a damn sports game.
Okay.
I kind of remember something with Olympic style games called the decathlon, and I just can't remember what system that was for, but it sounds like a lot of fun. California Games. Well, so I got behind me my favorite, and it's a tough one because I enjoyed the Madden games for a long time.
That's what I expected, actually.
Madden game, and I think Joe Montana.
Okay. Oh yeah. The Joe Montana thing for the time was just fantastic. But as a series, Madden Madden is probably the most successful sports series.
Oh, since today it's like FIFA.
And you know, it's funny. I think the guy it's named after, Madden, was far more famous than the series. Now I think the series has outlived him, and people don't even know who the series is named after.
Did Joe Madden, is he still alive?
John Madden.
John Madden.
John Madden. I don't know. That's a good question. I think he is. I think I'd remember it if he was dead. That would be interesting. He was a great football. I mean, nobody probably cares, but he was a great football coach. He's still alive.
Still alive.
He's 85 years old.
Great.
And he goes under the name Donald Trump nowadays. He looks a little similar on the picture I have in my mind, like with the gray hair.
And not to offend any pro-Trumpers, I would really feel much better with John Madden as the president.
Jason, my Zoom is telling me that we only have 7 minutes to go until it will stop. And then we have 40 minutes. Maybe you can talk about something of your background. Hotshot Golf 3. What's about this?
Okay, yeah. So that's Madden is really my honorable mention. But I spent more time with Hot Shots Golf, which originally I played it for the PlayStation. Yeah, for the PlayStation. Not even PlayStation 2. And around the same time, Mario Golf came out for the Nintendo 64, and I played both of those quite a bit. But I kept with Hot Shots Golf, and even now in VR, it's not called Hot Shots Golf anymore. Now it's called Everybody's Golf. So I pretty much play Everybody's Golf VR every day.
Really, every day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For the last few months, every day.
Wow.
And then I had a long break before that, and then maybe for 6 months before that.
And you have to be pretty good in this game.
Yeah, I think it's not as hard as regular golf, for sure, but it's pretty hard. It's a golf simulator. It truly is a golf simulator.
A simulator, not an arcade thing.
If you're taking your swing and you twist your wrist, your shot's going to go off. If your elbow flies out a little too much on your swing, your shot will not go where you want it to go. You have to take the wind into account. The ground is sloped. It's hard. It's not easy, but not as hard as real golf. Real golf is.
Do you think Hotshot Golf is better than Arnold Palmer Golf on the Genesis?
Yeah. I think as far as gameplay goes, it was.
Yeah.
But
we played together, Arnold Palmer, I can remember, and you say it's okay, but it's very primitive.
Yeah.
You were right. But for me, it's a pretty good golf gaming of my childhood.
But for the time, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And tournaments and things like that. Oh wow.
But I have a question. That Hot Shots Golf, do you play that with motion control, or I mean, for what system is it, or can you play it with a?
Currently I'm playing Hot Shots Golf VR, and it's with the motion controls.
PS4.
PS4. PS4.
Oh, okay.
And sorry, that wasn't clear. I'm trying to pull one out, and then You have a motion controller, which and as you're swinging, it's sensitive. So little flaws in your swing mechanics show up on your results. You'll slice the ball into a pond or into a bunker.
I find this interesting because I was thinking about VR gaming yesterday because some certain guy we both know told me a few days ago that today's topic would be VR gaming. And so that was my expectations for this podcast. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
I did. In my defense, I did write him and say, I think we should talk about series.
And that was the last thing I heard about.
There is no problem to talk about VR in another podcast.
No, what I wanted to say was I was thinking about VR gaming, and I haven't really tested it that much, just with a Samsung headset that was only for Galaxy smartphones.
Yeah, that's not true VR. Sorry.
VR experience, but I noticed, egal. It gave you a little impression, and the big problem I noticed, because I felt a little sick, was the movements.
Yeah.
The movements in VR.
The motion sickness.
So, yeah, a little motion sickness, right. And so having a golf game is actually a rather clever solution for that, because most of the time you're standing still, and that at least saves you from the motion sickness. So I think it's quite interesting for me to try that out one day. But Jason, do you suffer by those things like motion sickness when you play VR? Yeah,
I do. In the first week that I had the headset, I suffered, but the games were so good. You know, you're on the bridge of the Enterprise, playing Star Trek Bridge Crew. You're with No Man's Sky. You're flying a spaceship, and just the whole concept and the immersiveness of it. And we're on a retro. I shouldn't be talking like this on a retro gaming channel, but the immersion was just so fantastic that I said, I don't care if I throw up all over my shoes and there's vomit all over the floor when I'm done. I'm going to keep playing. And so it got better after a while. But once in a while, it still gets me. Maybe once in a month.
Well, guys, we only have 1 minute to go. I think we will start the recording again and go a little bit in the overtime. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm available.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Jason.
No big deal.
We talk a little bit about VR, and Marcel, you never played it on the PS4?
No. I haven't had the PlayStation VR, but we started this podcast with Tomb Raider, and one of the only games I ever played in the Samsung store was a little Tomb Raider adventure, and you played Lara from the ego perspective, and that's when I really noticed how motion sickness feels. The thing is, when we're talking about VR, I'm pretty darn sure that in the very near future, we're going to move more and more to VR. So the day will come when all our online experiences and gaming experience will be in virtual reality. And what I thought about yesterday was then, from that point on, everything up until the PlayStation 5 will be considered retro gaming, because it will be classical gaming on a TV. So that's, I think it's a very interesting development that we're facing right now, because we're right at the point where the hardware gets strong enough to produce very high frame rates and very high resolutions, which are required for a very good VR experience. Because I think that was the last year's the worst thing for the whole virtual reality thing to really take off, because you need those high resolutions because it's so close to your eyes, and you also need the higher refresh rates so that you don't suffer as much by motion sickness.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You take the motion sickness out of the equation, and I think all of this becomes much more popular. I think there might be other issues with the eyes. You know, are our bodies designed to have these masks over our eyes and close to our eyeballs like that? Now I'm getting old, and I wonder if my failing vision is due to my age or if it's due to the VR goggles. But my eyesight is definitely worse than it was a couple of years ago.
What do you think about the VR of the PS5 that will come?
Oh, I am really looking forward to it, because what I'm working with now is not good. The PSVR is it does its tracking by light, and that it's really, it just when you're trying to be precise in a game, the light tracking does not perform the way you need it to. So, for example, in golf, sometimes I have to just quit because my hand suddenly, for no reason, will just move away, or the club will turn, and you've got a good score. They've got worldwide leaderboards, and I'm trying to make the leaderboard. I'm trying to have the best score of the day. Then you're 3 under par, and you think you're going to have a record day, and then suddenly the light tracking fails you. So I'm really looking forward to the PSVR 2 because it won't use light tracking. From what I understand, the system, the console itself is so good that I think it'll be wonderful.
But I have a really big problem about the new era of the consoles. PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch Pro will come. I don't know which I have to buy first.
I think that really depends on what you own now, because I have so many games already purchased for the Xbox, and the transition to the Xbox Series X would be easier for me because you can use all that stuff. And if you have a PlayStation 4 now, bought many games from the PSN, then I think you will stick to the PlayStation 5 as soon as those consoles actually are on the market, because
yeah,
for us
that's the problem.
It's impossible to buy them.
Yeah, the thing is, I have all of them: PS4 Pro, Xbox Series X, and Switch. And the most time I'm playing on the Xbox. I don't know why.
Wow.
I'm such a Xbox fan now, since I have the Series X, because it's multimedia machine too for me. And when I buy the game that I played today, it's a near Replicant. I don't know if you know the game, the prequel of Nier Automata. I don't buy it on the PS4. I buy it on the Xbox One, and it's amazing. So I don't know if I buy the Xbox Series X or the PS5.
there is not a whole lot of difference when it comes to the hardware. I think nowadays it's all about the exclusive titles.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's what makes it different.
But the Series X is also faster than the PS5 and in better graphics, like the Xbox One X to the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, but Microsoft never supported VR. And
That's
we're
right.
just
That's an important thing. They never support VR. Yeah.
So if you want to experience VR, you have to go with PlayStation 5, I believe.
Yeah.
But just to mention that, I think the biggest problem with the VR experience is that the movement. I mean, when you're standing still, the head tracking, all of that works, but moving in your home to how to explain that? I think you know the problem what I'm talking about. You cannot wander through a huge castle because you're in a small apartment. So the whole walking around thing got to be solved somehow.
Well, they're putting joysticks on the.
But that is actually what's causing motion sickness most of the time, because your visuals telling you you're moving, but in fact you're standing still. You don't move, and that's what oftentimes causes these problems.
Yeah, and I don't really have a problem with moving, but they have comfort controls that so that when you move, it's you move in kind of like a flash. So instead of seeing it the whole way, you flash and then boom, you see it, and for whatever reason that helps. And there's also
basically
teleporting. Yeah, then there's a teleporting function, which is what Skyrim VR uses, and No Man's Sky, and those things really do a great job of reducing the motion sickness problem. But I got to tell you, when I don't do teleporting inside a dungeon in Skyrim in VR, I get sick. I get sick before I get out of the dungeon. And
have you seen Ready Player One?
Yeah, boy, what a good movie that was.
Yes,
it was great. But I remember in the beginning of the movie, you could see those VR rigs that they had there, and I have no idea how that is called in English. But those they're standing on this platform where the ground moves, and so you are walking, but it. Jason, please help me out. You're walking.
It's like a treadmill. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
you're walking on a belt that moves, and
exactly. And that would be the only possibility to make this happen in your home. And but I think that would be a great way, and it would feel much more natural.
Yeah, I think that's coming. I think that's coming. And now, for example, my son has an Oculus. My stepson has an Oculus, and he can with his controller, he can draw a boundary that warns him when he's about to bump into something. So Oculus has solved. Oculus and HTC, I imagine, have solved a lot of these VR problems. He's never complained of motion sickness. But I haven't asked him specifically. Yeah, so I think VR is the future. I was telling Marcel the other day that I as I'm flying around in No Man's Sky or in a dungeon in Skyrim, I think to myself, why isn't everybody doing this? And
It is impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and what you guys were saying about the PS5 or the Xbox, I have a tough choice to make in the future because Microsoft bought Bethesda.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
And so I got to choose between my beloved Elder Scrolls or my beloved VR. Because it doesn't look like I'll be able to have both.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Each generation, well, at least at the end of the generation, I'm ending up with both consoles anyway. So I don't know if it's really a choice that had to be made. The only choice is what to buy first. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're both doing a fantastic job throughout the last years, I believe. And I'm a huge fan of Microsoft and how they build up the entire experience of their system and how it works. And my brothers prefer the PlayStation. And as long as it's working for you, well, I also think that Microsoft, sooner or later, when VR gets more and more popular, they will make a deal probably with HTC or any other company that already has a very good VR headset. So why wouldn't they?
The Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is for the PC VR headsets.
Yeah, I heard about it.
I understand is very, very good.
Well, guys, I think we have to come to an end. Because Zoom will cut off in a few minutes again.
Okay. Okay, yeah, all good things must come to an end.
Yes.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Marcel.
Jason, it was such a pleasure to have you here in this podcast. It was
you guys are fun.
Much fun. Thank you for being here.
And thank you guys, and thank you to your audience for being patient with English rather than German.
You have to share the video in America.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look how the Germans live. Yeah. I tell them what VR is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, best of luck, guys. Thanks for having me on your podcasts, plural, and best luck, and keep playing those old games.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to say goodbye to the audience in German, Marcel? I made the introduction, you make the outro.
Oh, yeah. Dann werde ich natürlich in Deutsch weitermachen. Nochmal Dankeschön, Jason, dass du hier warst. Es war wie immer fantastisch, mit dir sprechen zu können über diese Themen. Auch natürlich an Marcel von Retro Magic. Vielen Dank. Das war's dann in diesem Podcast. Es ist jetzt ein bisschen länger geworden als ursprünglich geplant, aber trotzdem sehr interessant. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Lasst bitte einen Daumen nach oben. Ihr wisst Bescheid, ein Abo. Und wir sehen uns dann beim nächsten Video. Entweder von mir oder von Marcel.
Tschüss.
Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.
Ciao.